Ah, yes, this is exactly how I'd like to spend my Thursday afternoon, sitting at home doing nothing but watching my favorite daytime soap opera, Riders Creek. Let's see what adventures the gang at the creek are going through now.
I don't have it in me to write anymore. The soul of I, Hubert, has been drained by the obnubilating love I have for the English teacher, Meadow. She is my sunshine. She is my happiness. She is my life.
It's so beautiful.
My latest novel had a character inspired by Meadow, but this character is but a shadow compared to her. How can anyone compare to her angelic beauty, her kind soul, her loving touch? I would give up everything in my life, my car, my house, my actual wife, just for a mere moment with Meadow.
I can't take it. You must have her, Hubert.
Oh, here she comes. Her writing class has just finished, and the children are leaving the schoolhouse. I must tell her how I feel.
Bye, children. May you write stories as beautiful as your spirits. Oh, hi, Hubert. How can I help you?
Tell her, Hubert. Tell Meadow how you feel.
I have traveled to the ends of the earth for book fairs and writers' markets, selling my novels to the willing masses. But their adulation is all for naught, for it is not their adulation I seek, dear Meadow.
Oh, of course. Whose is it then, Hubert?
Tell her, Hubert.
It's yours, sweet Meadow. I love you. I would give up everything I own for you. You are my everything, all my writing, all my words on the pages of my typewriters. It's all inspired by my love for you.
Hubert,
Come with me, Meadow. Let's leave Riders Creek behind and go see the world together. We could go to Paris, to Venice, to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for all I care. All I want is to be with you, Meadow, wherever we go. I cannot write without you. I cannot live without you.
Hubert, you don't understand.
Don't understand what, my love?
I am not Meadow.
You're not?
No, I am her evil twin sister, Arabella. I have been manipulating you this whole time, Hubert.
What? I don't believe it.
Believe it, smarty pants. I put on the facade of a caring, loving schoolteacher so you could write me into your books. And when you publish them, I will steal your royalties and take all your adulating fans from you.
Well, if that's true, then do it, Arabella. For I don't care about my fans. All I care about is the one I love.
Don't do it, Hubert, no! Don't fall under her spell!
Oh, that's a good boy, Hubert. And you can have the one you love if you write me into your next book.
I would, but I didn't write it.
You didn't write your last book?
I didn't write any of my books, for I am not Hubert. I am his evil twin brother Darius. And it is not Meadow I love, but you, Arabella. I love you.
Oh, Darius. I love you too.
The drama is too much. I can't handle it. Where is Hubert? Where is Meadow? They must be together. They must live happily ever after. That's it. I'm going to Riders Creek myself and setting them up together so they can...
Donald, what are you doing?
Nothing, David. Why do you ask?
I can hear you screaming all the way from the recording studio. Are you watching Riders Creek again?
No, of course not. I don't watch that show anymore. I don't watch it every day of the week during my work hours. I don't write the cast and crew and try to influence the show.
Uh-huh. If you say so. Well, I'll be waiting in the studio. We've got an episode to record.
Be right there.
Oh, Darius.
Oh, Meadow.
I'm not Meadow, dear.
I don't care.
It's so beautiful.
Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwit, the show about writing that values the greatest works of literature of the last 100 years. Bionicle and Power Rangers, of course.
I don't think you're being ambitious enough. Last 100 years.
100 years.
Last 1,000 years.
More like 2,000 years.
Oh, you take that, Bible.
You know, something about the Bible that always makes me laugh.
Oh,
is
okay.
that,
Let's get
there
a
was an
little
acronym.
sacrilegious here. Yeah.
It's not sacrilegious per se. But some of my friends told me about an acronym, and I can't remember learning this in Sunday school or anything. But the whole thing that the Bible is an acronym: basic instructions before leaving Earth. I love that.
That's all right, I guess.
I mean, okay.
I mean, it works. Yeah.
Hey, the acronym works. It's heavily backronym, but
Ah, man.
backronyms are usually at least worthy of a chuckle.
You
Maybe
know-
they're not always clever, but they're usually worthy of a chuckle.
You know, it's funny that it's the Bible. When you look at like the meaning of the word Bible or the etymology of it, Bible just means book, like bibliography.
From Greek, right?
Yeah, from Greek biblos. I don't know if it's los, but it makes me sound more authentic.
Presumably biblos would be the thing from Greek. Anyways, we are back.
Speaking of
listeners.
words, and different words and their meanings.
And speaking of which, we're in our second episode, which means it's time for the vocabulary vitamin of the month. Woo!
Ooh, I know there's not really turns for this. You keep reminding me there's not turns for us, but it's your turn this month. So
More correctly, I came up with this word. We'll just say that.
you, the origin of this word.
The origin of this word is my brain. Totally.
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Not at all. Anyway, the vocabulary vitamin of the month is capricious, spelled CAPRICIOUS.
It just makes me want Capri Suns.
Well, we have several in the fridge if you ever came over, but oh wait, pandemic.
Oh,
Simple definition.
That's cruel, man. God, I want some.
A simple definition of capricious is impulsive. Another word you might use, whimsical. Both of them are synonyms. A sample sentence. Her capricious nature was very off-putting to the steady boyfriend, but he loved her anyway.
Oh, how sweet. I guess it'd be capricious of me to break into your house and steal your
Capri Sun.
Capri Suns. Yeah.
What I was going for with capricious is more along the lines of, oh, well, we should do this. No, we shouldn't. Actually, that's a terrible idea. That very flip-floppy, pancakey, whimsical...
Gollum-y.
Gollum-y. Okay.
Gollum and Smeagol. We
Anyways.
must have Diet Coke. No, we must have regular Coke. But think about all the calories. And I can't do a good Gollum.
Stick to your day job, writer. Now go and take your vitamin, listeners. Until next set.
Go take your vitamin and go and down it with some Capri Sun.
Down it with the Capri Sun. 'cause it
Capri
sounds
Sun
like-
is my drug, man.
Apparently so.
Like they but just before the pandemic we brought the grandkids over and my mom bought a bunch of Capri Suns and put them in the fridge for them. They drank maybe 3 of them each.
Out of all of the...
I drank the rest. And they're so small because they're meant for kids, so I drink them 2 at a time.
I just now have this image of you like manhandling 2 packages to shove into your mouth at once. Well, the other option is literally what some people may refer to as double fisting.
Oh, God. Just milking the giant Capri Sun out of
No,
her.
not milking them, but you like
That's the
swap
way you-
hands.
Just
Yeah, exactly.
suckling on
Exactly.
the wondrous teat that is the Capri Sun.
Don't you use a straw? Anyway,
What is
last-
a nipple, really, other than a straw for a baby?
what is this podcast except talking about like everything ever, apparently? So last time we talked about mostly resolved endings. You know, these are things that maybe they're done in one. Most likely you have a plan for another thing. but you have to make sure that this story, this main tale, is taken care of. Now, this week, we're talking about something different, as you can tell from the title.
Yes.
In this type of ending, the story's only sort of resolved. But
Damn it.
Not really.
Damn it. I should have said, what is a nipple but ambiguously a straw for a child? It's too late now.
Missed your chance.
Yeah.
But not really. It's kind of, but not really resolved, maybe. Yet there's no plan for a future installment to wrap everything up. This is how it is.
God, it's dumb.
Gee, I have a feeling I know where your answers are going to go. These type of endings are really divisive. What is your opinion of them personally?
Honestly, I hate them. I don't like uncertainty. I want answers. You're the writer. You control whether there's a resolutions or not.
You control whether there's a revolution or not.
If there's enough ambiguous endings, I'm going to start a revolution. No more. Do you hear the people singing the songs of angry men? We will not let you write any ambiguous endings ever again.
I was wondering where he was going with that.
Anyways, don't give me this, but it's crap. Stories have beginnings, middles, and ends. That's the formula. You know, sure, formulas are meant to be broken, but you don't have to break a formula to make something good. Play around with the formula. Maybe bend it a little, but don't outright ignore it. Write a damn resolution. Rant over. For now.
We have a few more questions to go, so I have a feeling you'll be
Nope,
ranting
I'm
again.
out. See ya. Bye. No, I'm fine.
I do want to make a delineation. Is this okay if I make a delineation between ambiguous and just plain confusing?
Okay, sure. Yeah, because they seem pretty similar to me.
Because I feel like bad writers, desperate to move on, will shortchange their ending and not properly wrap things up, but it's not necessarily comprehensible to the readers. Anyways, the kind of endings that are your mileage may vary in literary form, I tend to be dissatisfied with them because I'd prefer the writer to take a stance on what happens.
Right, like all the, was it The Fountain by Darren Aronofsky, where the ambiguous questions like, is she the tree or is she not the tree? Those kind of artsy movies.
Yeah, something about it's art.
It's art. It's not just art, it's art.
Anyway, there was a show that I want to bring up here. A very not terribly popular tokusatsu show. It was originally aimed at a later time slot, so it wasn't really aimed at kids.
Right.
And the show is called Vanny Nights.
Vanny Nights?
Vanny. And, of course, the pronunciation in Japanese of that word is similar to their pronunciation for bunny, and so they did have very
Bunny
much a
Nights.
Lagomorph motif. Anyway, second episode in a row that Lagomorph has come up. This is not a trend, I swear.
Welcome to the Rabbit Ritz.
The Rabbit Hutch.
The Rabbit Hutch. The Hair Wit. I don't know, what's it?
The Hair Wit. Love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at the end of that show does something very, very interesting. The entire show revolves around this guy.
Yeah.
And
that could be about every show, yes.
it could be, well, everyone is led by a male. Anyway, so he has the spirit of a long dormant ancient power inside of him. He has inherited this somehow, basically out of the blue, and suddenly...
That's what happens to me whenever I eat Arby's.
And suddenly, three very, very good-looking women come into his life, and they say that they are there to protect this spirit that is awakening within him. Well, the main female, the one who's in charge of this trio,
yes,
starts falling for the guy.
Of course.
Independent of the spirit that she's supposed to protect. Well, at the end of the show, after all they've gone through, there's a very, very ambiguous ending. Are they even alive experiencing this? There's just this white field. Both of them are dressed in it, in white as well. And they have this delicate kiss moment that has been denied the entire show, which, considering it's Japan, that's practically scandalous.
That's true.
But they have this kiss, and then it just fades to black, and the thing is over. What happened? Were they dead?
Maybe.
Were they alive and got the paradisiacal ending that they were looking for?
Maybe. I don't know. That's always the worst of the ambiguous endings. It's like, are they dead or not? Is this
all a dream? Is this like what the heck is this? And and the producers actually went on record saying We're leaving it to the viewers to decide.
Oh, for God's sakes. That is...
Which I'm
Write
sure...
a damn ending!
Which I'm sure that even those people on the staff had their own opinions, too. So it's just like, it's really weird when something like that happens. That said, I don't necessarily care much for ambiguous endings like that because I would prefer somebody take a stance. And Donald is much on record with the same. But leaving things open-ended has its merits for someone to choose their own path on the favorite character left out in the cold.
Right.
So those two characters were the only ones in that white scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about the others?
That's true.
You can decide, well, that one obviously did survive.
Right.
That one obviously died because there was nothing more for her story, kind of a thing.
Have you ever seen Inception?
No, I have not.
Okay, we should watch it.
It's kind of a mind blow from what I've heard.
It's a good movie. I watched it for the first time earlier this year. It was good. But anyways, do you mind if I spoil it?
Do we want to do the spoiler sign that you've never added into any of our episodes?
No, we say
Spoilers for Inception. Go ahead. Oh, gosh, it'll sound like an air raid siren.
We're just starting to sound like whales. Anyway, so
the whales are speaking.
One part of Inception is that, because they so often in dreams and they're so often like getting into people's dreams, trying to either incept, put ideas in them or, take ideas and whatever. Every person who's on the dream team is they have a totem that that only they know the exact weight of, like a chess piece that's kind of fixed or something that they know well they can have on them, and if it reacts a certain way, like if it reacts as it should, then they're not in a dream. It's protection whether or not you're being incepted, or if you're and you don't know it, you can check. Am I in a dream? Oh, it's not right. I am in a dream.
That is a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
The whole pinch me, I'm dreaming, and they just have this thing that tells them.
Well, it's just because, it's just something that only they know the weight of and how it works. So if you're in someone else's dream, they don't know the weight, so...
Yeah.
So, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he has this top that spins, and it falls over if he's awake. But the whole point of the movie is he's trying to get back to his kids. He's doing this one job for him. It was a long story, but basically he was forced out of the country and he couldn't be with his kids. And he's finally able to come back. And the whole movie, he's trying to figure out how to get back. And then he's also trying to make peace with his demons that led him to be forced to leave in the first place. And it seems like he finally has. And then at the end of the movie, he's at the house where he can see the kids at last. He spins the top. But then he sees the kids, and then he runs off, not looking at the top. The camera moves to the top, and before we can see if it wobbles or not, the movie just ends. So...
Well, that is a lovely image and a very intriguing concept. So I'm going to use that to lead into the next question.
Well, what I mean to bring up with it is that is an ambiguous ending. But the point of that is, since he went off to go with the kids anyways and not look at the top,
it doesn't matter.
He doesn't care. Yeah, so Christopher Nolan has said that he thinks just because he likes his kids and he likes those kind of happy sort of things,
that it would have fallen.
It would have fallen, and you do kind of see it wobbling a little. Like,
well, all tops theoretically do, but
yeah.
Not
dream tops.
Well,
anyways, yes. Segue into
the other top. Anyway, moving on. When is this kind of ending more acceptable? Now, I do say when, because I know you'd say never. Except, is there a certain genre, like a type of character arc, something of that nature? When is this kind of ambiguity acceptable?
Well, it's more of a character study than a plot-based narrative, I suppose. Although I guess Inception is kind of plot-based too, but it also is. In that instance, it's about the character of.
Well, that is specifically about that character ending making his choice, right?
Right.
So maybe if you make it more granular, smaller scale, then that still applies for even the end of Inception.
Right. But when it's about what the character has done, more what the character would do, that's a good way to make it acceptable. Like the thing about plot-based narratives is that they always have a destination in mind.
Sure.
by not having the destination, your plot falls apart. So you can't do this when writing a narrative focused heavily on plot.
Kind of like this, if you imagine a thread pulling the entire thing together, holding it on, but if that disappears, if that goes away, then there's no support, and so it just
It's like,
crumbles.
what if Lord of the Rings ended before they even got to Mount Doom?
It makes no sense. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and then J.R.R. Tolkien's like, no, it's up to you to decide if...
Did Frodo make it? Did he fall prey to the One Ring?
Yeah. No, just tell us. And he did, so thank you. So I'd argue it still really doesn't work, but I'm no scholar, so I have no idea.
I mean, I suppose that character studies, that makes a lot of sense what you said. But depending on how granular you take this definition of acceptable, or even the definition of ambiguous, side characters who don't see or really have a resolution, they're always ambiguous, right?
That's true.
Well, you don't really necessarily care. Somebody will, but maybe you don't. Somebody outside of the main cast that captured a portion of the audience may spawn some feelings of discontent that it wasn't fully addressed.
Right.
Maybe they were written off in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, I would suspect that recurring characters in standalone mysteries, so think Encyclopedia Brown, Sherlock Holmes, Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew,
Yes, all those episodic tales,
sometimes don't need a concrete ending because the character likely returns in a separate tale.
That's
so
true.
like Bugs Meany from Encyclopedia Brown series, Professor Moriarty from Sherlock.
Right.
Branching out beyond our main style of writing, poetry is often ambiguous because of the flowery language and absence of rigid structure.
Poetry isn't usually about a narrative, though.
But it isn't about a narrative, so how you interpret that is up to the reader, and it's likely going to be different than what the writer intended.
That's true, but that's not really about an ambiguous ending. That's just ambiguous.
Well, it is ambiguous, which fits part of... Anyway,
and it's funny that you bring up Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, and it's like, you don't need a concrete ending, because the one time
that he was
tried to do a
adapted
concrete
to
ending.
film, yeah.
Well, no, I was just say the one time that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle tried a concrete ending and had them both fall off the falls in Switzerland, then everyone was like, no, he's not dead, bring him back, and he was forced to bring him back. So,
well, and do you know what they say about comic book death? I realize that Sherlock Holmes is not a comic book, but
I'm sure there's a comic book Sherlock Holmes.
I wouldn't be amazed.
His name is Batman.
Sure, he is an Iron Man because of the actor. Anyway,
that's true.
How can a writer make this type of ending really powerful so that the deliberate open-endedness of it isn't unfulfilling?
Well, I guess if you convey in some way that the answers don't matter and whatever happens to those characters happens, like it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. The journey happened, so the destination is irrelevant.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
The true friends you made along the way.
Yeah.
Except it's not. But whatever, I'm not an artist. I just write books that are entertaining, so what the hell do I know?
Don't give yourself much credit. But, it may seem abstract. But what if it's a character taking a stand on something that you don't feel comfortable pushing on your readers?
Well, then you're not committing. You're not giving it. You're half-assing it then.
But what if your character has a different position on the thing than you, and you don't feel comfortable writing that because then it reflects like, oh, well, obviously he believes this.
Right.
I say he because we're both male, obviously.
Right. We know what you mean. Yeah.
Say it's a first-person tale where it merely ends with, now I know for sure, without confirming which choice they made.
I don't like it still.
But you let the readers interpret what choice they did.
Yeah, let's just be lazy.
Honestly, I don't find this as annoying as Donald, quite obviously, and thus I believe it has potential. Saying that,
yes,
I believe this is only true when it comes to matters of opinion or hot-button issues that are merely secondary to the action itself.
Right.
The plot needs a proper resolution.
Mm-hmm. It does, absolutely. I think so anyways. Like, that's the plot has destination. Has a point A and point B. You don't stop at point A, point 5.
A and a half.
Yeah. I was about to say point A, point B.
Well, it sounded,
point B.
Originally you said point A and a point E, and I said, oh, well, we could just stop at point C.
See, that would have made more sense. But I'm stupid. So.
This question's a little challenging. I wrote it, and it's my fault for making it so complex because there's like mini questions within it. So, is there a means to accomplish this open-ended, ambiguous ending without A, patronizing classics of the English literature, where this probably happened, B, aiming for performance art or art house level, or C, losing enjoyment of the story, also known as not being entertaining enough to read outside of English class?
Well, I guess, Inception, like I said, that's an example, and that is a pretty mainstream movie, but it's also kind of an artsy blockbuster more than other blockbusters. It is still a blockbuster, though, so...
And probably because of who is attached to it.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan just can get a blank check to do whatever he wants.
Well, and he obviously got talented actors to be involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not deny the impact that Leo DiCaprio has in pretty much any film he's in.
Now Elliot Page. Congratulations to him by taking the bold step of announcing he is transgender. Exactly. I know it's difficult, and it sucks that there's still so much...
What is not ambiguous about society is that there is way too much hate in the world.
No, it sucks that there's still so much discrimination and hate in this world, so that people feel nervous about coming out. But in terms of ambiguous endings, look, I've been bagging on this type of ending for the whole episode, but honestly, I haven't read enough of these to know the answers to these questions for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that I saw the birds, and the deliberate non-conclusiveness of that ending really pissed me off. Then again, Hitchcock is considered one of the greatest directors of all time, so what the hell do I know? Clearly I'm missing something.
There's something to be said for enjoying this type of material and also not caring about this type of material, and you definitely fall on the latter scale.
Right, but I guess I probably shouldn't say that this type of ending is bad. It's just not for me. I don't like it.
Fair enough.
But a slightly more mainstream example is the ending of Castaway. Have you seen Castaway?
I have.
Yes. Remember the
Wilson!
Yes, indeed. That volleyball that made everyone cry. But, you remember the ending when Tom Hanks' character returns from the island and wonders what road to take at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Like either go back to the girl, fight for her, or then having been taken by someone else in the interim years, or maybe forge a new path,
Right.
Yeah, so it's like it deliberately ends with him at a crossroads. And now that movie grossed a lot, so... I say mainstream, even though that movie is kind of artsy still, but it grossed over $200 million domestically, so it's pretty mainstream in that regard. Point is, it can be done, but I'm not qualified enough to say exactly how, so...
I think that's what you meant to say. You only had H-O.
Oh. I'm not qualified to say exactly ho.
And it was open-ended. Speaking of ambiguous.
Yo ho, this is... I'm not qualified to say this, yo.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Anyways. But, sorry, random tangent. What threshold
How rude of those
to...
pirates to say yo ho. There's a lady present.
Well, I mean, there's Sydney White where they do hi ho, bye ho.
Right.
Anyway, I was recalling that to my mother recently. She laughed. Anyways,
it's a good movie.
What's the threshold where you have to gross a certain amount to be considered mainstream in your mind? I'm just asking a random question.
I'm just using that as an example. I mean, there's a lot of artsy films that have grossed a lot, so I don't really know. But that movie also had a big budget. So.
Well, and the other thing too is it based on profit. So you gross a huge amount on a huge budgeted movie, your profit margin's still not as good as something that's, a really small budget, but they had a massive hit for whatever reason.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which had like a $5 million budget.
But it made like
$500 million worldwide or something.
Anyway, sorry, that was a random thing. He's a film buff. I am obviously
God,
not.
I miss box office. Did you see what Warner Brothers is doing?
They're putting everything on HBO Max at Christmas time.
The theaters might be dead.
Well, and that was one of the big concerns when Mulan hit Disney Plus.
See, I don't mind, especially during the pandemic. I want to watch these movies, and they're not going to be released.
Release Black Widow.
Yes, I want Black Widow at Disney Plus, please. Anyways, but I still am going to miss box office if theaters go to crap. So
I don't care.
I know you don't care.
For what it's worth, having a screen that big and the communal aspect of a theater, that part I could see why people would miss.
Mm-hmm.
But the prices, the food, heck, I can approximate it for much cheaper at my own home.
Yeah, well, you don't have to pay $20 for a large
single ticket, and then another $10 for the large popcorn and a drink.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, going to a movie theater is an event, and I suppose I'll miss it from the event aspect.
I'll
but
never
I will
forget.
not miss the prices.
I won't miss the price either, but I will never forget when in Avengers Endgame, how crazy the audience went when Cap got the hammer,
Yeah,
when
and finally
Avengers
lifted it.
Assemble. Yeah, like when Spider-Man came swinging back.
Well, as I said, the communal aspect of the theater is going to be the part that most people miss.
Anyways, what
Random
about
tangents
you?
done.
Yeah.
So anyway, given how many questions this condition lays out, thanks, self. It's a pretty tall order to fill all three of those. But individually, for point A, to remind you, patronizing classics of the English literature, you can be inconclusive in the motives of a character without invoking Ayn Rand.
Yes. Please don't.
Allow for open-ended concepts that don't detract from the main narrative, but still leave a pause in the readership. What did I just witness?
Oh, was this made on drugs?
To the point of B, aiming for a performance art level, I believe you could still get a bestseller with a story that doesn't conclusively quote-unquote end. Just expect a mixed bag of reviews, because some people will appreciate having their own agency in determining the outcome, while others, pointing at Donald here, despise such fluff.
I don't know if I call it fluff. I call it lazy.
Point C, losing enjoyment of the story. You best be trying to make an entertaining read.
Y'all, you must best be trying to make you read these here parts.
If you have no passion doing the project, don't demand it from readers. So the main plot needs to be enjoyable enough that people wouldn't mind going to it outside of a critical context. Not that writing with critical depth is bad. Just don't aim for only that market, or else prepare for very few royalties.
Yes.
That's my opinion. But hey, I'm merely a twit on this podcast, so what do I know?
Out of the two twits, I'm the most twit, though. You're slightly less of a twit. I'm a big twit. You're a little twit.
But you're more writ, and I'm less writ. So that's
true.
How it balances out. Anyway.
Who's wit? Neither of us, I guess.
I don't know. Are we done talking about this?
Yeah, I'd say that's it. Or are we
You're
not?
supposed to leave it ambiguous, because speaking of which...
I can't do that, though, because it's over.
It's too late. You saying you have to do it at the beginning, or else it's no good. Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's because you can't do
That's it for this week.
You can't do this for an ambiguous ending because the episode has a clear length, has a clear end.
Which was entirely the point. But anyhow,
okay,
that is it for this week, because we do have other endings to talk about, but we don't want to keep going on forever here. If you feel like going on forever, hey, get in touch with us and ask more questions. You can do that at MattD@MatthewDonaldCreator.com. Huge thank you to all of our patrons as well.
Yes, indeed. You can sign up for that at patreon.com/MatthewDonald.
Thanks for your support.
Yep, contact us at mattd@MatthewDonaldCareer.com for any general questions to either of us.
I already said that.
I don't know.
Changed the order, but I did already say that.
Okay.
If you want to follow Donald personally, though, there are ways to do that as well.
You can follow me at Matthew Donald Creator on Facebook, at Matthew Donald 64 on Twitter, and Matthew Donald 64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's my social security number. I don't mind proudly proclaiming that, David. What did someone gonna do to me, huh?
The fact that you were number 64 implies you are way older than you claim to be.
No, it's 64, 64, 644, 64, 64. I don't know.
Mine is 9 digits long. How do you make 64 by itself? Your social security number.
64, 64, 646. That's my social security number, guys.
I feel very sorry for the person who actually possesses that number, if it exists at this point. Maybe it'll exist long after we're gone, if we're really lucky.
Well, that's why I wanted to just make the joke that it was just 64, because whoever has that number is dead. And has been dead for thousands of years.
Thousands?
Millions of years.
Millions? Come on.
I'm Matt Donald.
I'm Matt David.
Bye.
See you next time. Until then, keep ridding and keep wearing a mask.
Okay, well, no, we should make it for ambiguous. I should say bye or hello.
Are we leaving?
The Read